and welcome back to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Last time we played through the Flower Cup on Mirror Mode, and today we're going to be playing through the Star Cup on Mirror Mode, and we're going to be using the Villager alongside in the P-Wing, which we just unlocked, and we're going to use the Leaf Tires, which seems to work out pretty nicely, and we'll go ahead and use the Water Wing Glider. Here are the stats, and once again we're going to make sure that Smart Super and Auto Acceleration are indeed disabled, and so without further ado, let's dive into the Star Cup on Mirror Mode. Let's do this. So last episode was a very heated rant about Freak Out, which basically was just me venting about a terrible movie that I saw that I wanted to get on my chest for a while now. Don't worry, I will still be making a video talking about how crap it is in the future once the Blu-ray version comes out so I can actually get the footage for it. But until then, I would rather spend time talking about something positive, or at least a mix of positive and negative. And by that I mean, I got a comment on one of last week's episodes talking about, or asking me I guess I should say, to talk about my thoughts on all the Pixar movies, ranked or not. So I will happily do that. I'm probably not going to give an actual ranking because that would take a considerable amount of time to do. But I can happily just run through the list of all the Pixar films and give a general brief. I think if I give just a brief 1 or 2 sentence summary of whether the movie's good or bad or just kind of mediocre, I think we should be able to get through most of all of them in one video. So I'm going to give it my best shot. That was perfect timing almost. Had I not hit the banana, that would have been perfect timing. But sadly, it's been knocked down to almost perfect timing. Anyways, we'll start at the beginning. Toy Story, phenomenal. Obviously, it's the weakest of the 3 Toy Story movies, but you know, being the weakest in a trilogy of 3 awesome movies doesn't really mean much. It just means that it was, you know, they were still learning. It's still phenomenal character work for Woody and Buzz and their relationship, and it was Pixar getting off the ground, and they told a really solid. It does still have some problems, minor things. But by and large, it's still a great story with a timeless character work that it just never gets old. Bugs Life, honestly, I can still enjoy watching it, but I don't think it's one of Pixar's best things. I think it's kind of like middle of the road, kind of like, I'd say maybe a soft 6 out of 10. Like, yeah, that was fun. That's a decent movie, but there's still definitely some major issues I have. I mean, Hopper's a great villain. Hopper's a phenomenal villain, but I'm just not a big fan of movies, or just stories in general, where it all boils, I think the trope is called liar reveal, where it's like, the whole plot's based on a lie that has to be upheld, and the lie in this case being, oh, Flick needs to find warriors, and the circus bugs convince him accidentally that they're warriors, and then Flick tells everyone else that they're warriors, but they're actually circus people. And it is kind of satisfying to ultimately see them overcome Hopper in the end, and you know the creative ways in which they manage to pull it off, even though they are just circus bugs. But it's always very frustrating to see that kind of you're waiting for it's just a long drawn out reveal for the liar reveal to actually be revealed kind of thing. So that's my biggest problem with The Bug's Life. Okay, remember when I said 1 or 2 sentences? Yeah, well that was apparently a lie. I'll try to move a bit faster through the next few of these. Make no promises. I might have to do this over the course of 2 videos, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyway, next race. Toy Story 2 is outstanding. It's an out-of-this-world movie. It's nearly flawless, and it's incredible character work and an incredible plot that's scripted from start to finish. It's just out of this world. Monsters, Inc., one of, if not Pixar's best films, because, I don't know, it's just the story of Sully and Boo, like, you know, the unlikely father figure, and the story of Monsters, Inc., and the incredibly clever way that they bring about the end of Waternoose is just, man, that movie has an airtight plot and masterful character work. Finding Nemo, oh my god, I'm just remembering how phenomenal Pixar's original set of movies was. Finding Nemo is just out of this world as well. Man, I love Finding Nemo. Finding Nemo is such a harrowing tale. I can only imagine, because I'm not, believe it or not, I am not a father. I'm still a college student, so I'm not quite at that stage of my life yet, but at some point in my life, I would like to start a family, and I can only imagine what watching that movie like must be through the eyes of a father. Like, I can't even imagine. I cannot imagine what that would be like, because that movie hits me right in the feels and brings tears to my eyes every time when I hit. The two scenes that always bring tears to my eyes are the reunion, obviously, and then the after the final battle. Those two scenes are just emotional masterpieces, and of course it's all assisted by the immaculate musical score, because I mean, just in general, music is, oh my god, the music is so phenomenal. Obviously the character work between just kind of Dory and Marlin kind of learning from each other, and Nemo, his development over with the fish tank people. It's just, I mean, I could go into more depth. Obviously what I'm saying right now is very, very vague, like not super in-depth reviews of these movies. I could go more in depth if I had a proper video, but you know, it was a topic suggested by commenters, so I want to try to condense this as much as I can into one video. So next movie, Incredibles. The name speaks for itself. It's an excellent subversion of what a typical superhero movie looks like, because it's not really a superhero movie, it's a family movie that's about superheroes, which I think is an important distinction to make. I think I just wasted that, because I think the red show might have hit the wall or something, but that was probably a waste. But yeah, it's just one of Pixar's best plotting, its most ingenious twist, because the thing is, like, the villain, I think it's probably Pixar's best villain, as someone that you understand their motivations for, but you still root for the good guys. I think that's a marking of a good villain, is when you understand where they're coming from and you can relate to them, you can kind of empathize for them a little bit and like where their backstory comes from, but you still acknowledge that, yeah, they're doing a really bad thing here. They need to stop, and they need to be stopped, kind of thing. Great setups and payoffs, such as the caves, for instance. I mean, I really love The Incredibles a lot. Incredibles is, well, incredible. One final thought about Incredibles is that the action sequences are masterfully choreographed. That's all I'll say about that. Cars, here's where it gets controversial. A lot of people really hate Cars. I've never really understood why. I think the main reason is because people find the movie to be a little boring. Which, like, it's understandable that you'd find it boring in terms of, like, most of it is spent in Radiator Springs. But honestly, I don't, because you're allowed to find the movie boring, and honestly, at the end of the day, you can find any of these movies boring, and whether someone finds it boring or not is entirely subjective. So that's fine by me. The point that what I would say is that even if you find it boring, the actual character work that goes on at Radiator Springs is really strong stuff. Not Pixar's best, but it is really strong stuff. And the one scene, like the culmination of it all, where you have our town music playing in the background as the backstory of Radiator Springs kind of comes to light. That is probably my favorite scene, or one of, if not my favorite scenes in the entire movie. But that said, it's the character work of Lightning McQueen and his interactions with everyone at Radiator Springs, mixed with incredibly tense racing sequences that just keeps you at least keeps me on the edge of my seat the whole ride through. So, I mean, I still wouldn't say it's one of Pixar's best films, but I really, really enjoy Cars. I think Cars is still a solid movie, even if it's not among Pixar's best. I think it's generally overhated. Now, here's where I might surprise some people. The next two are Ratatouille and WALL-E, and I've only ever seen Ratatouille once. I barely remember anything about it, and I've never ever seen WALL-E. Well, okay, that's not true. When I was going in for surgery as a young kid, WALL-E was playing on one of the TV screens, but I wasn't really paying attention to it because I was about to go in for surgery. And that combined with the fact that I just, we only got to see like the first 10 minutes of the movie. It's kind of like, yeah, I'm not really going to remember this. So I saw Ratatouille once. Don't remember anything about it. Other than that, the message is not everyone can be a great cook, but a great cook can come from anywhere, and then that's a message that's very applicable to, any kind of artistic medium kind of thing. So if I rewatched it today, I think I'd really love it. I just don't remember anything about it. WALL-E, I've heard, is Pixar's like magnum opus, and that it's one of the best, just not even Pixar movies, one of the best movies ever made, bar none. So I really want to give it a watch one day, but I've not seen it yet, so I can't really give any thoughts on it whatsoever. To wrap up real quick, wait, please, no, Mario, no, go. Oh, okay, well, I guess I'll be replaying this one. Stupid red shell screw me over in the end. It's fine. I think as long as I win Mount Wario, we'll still be able to pull out a win for this one. We'll just have to replay it between episodes. Yeah, so, I guess we'll talk about Up in the next race then. So Up, honestly, I think it's kind of overrated. I mean, admittedly, so to be totally fair and totally transparent here, it's been a long time since I've seen Up, so I might have to give it a rewatch to give it a proper analysis. But I remember liking it as a kid, but never really loving it the way the rest of the world seems to. I think its best part is undoubtedly its opening the opening scenes of Up are phenomenal, and it's like, I think that might be the reason why a lot of people really love it, because undoubtedly the opening scene is extravagant. But I think after that it kind of, it doesn't get bad, it just gets like, it's passable. It's a fun ride. Some decent character work towards the middle with Russell and Carl and all that, but just not one of my favorites. I think its masterpiece comes in the form of the opening scene, not so much the rest of the movie. Now, Toy Story 3, honestly, I don't think I can pick a favorite between Toy Story 2 and Toy Story 3. They're both so good. They are both phenomenal movies, and I love them both to death. But I'd probably give the edge out of Toy Story 3 just because it has that immaculate ending. Not even just the ending, the climax mixed with the ending, where you have the dump scene that goes through that emotionally harrowing dump scene leading into the emotionally devastating ending to the movie, and it's just such a perfect conclusion to the Toy Story trilogy. I really love Toy Story 3 with all my heart. It's just such a perfect send-off, such a perfect culmination of all the different characters' journeys. So then we get to Cars 2, and honestly, look, Cars 2 isn't exactly a masterpiece of cinema. I wouldn't even call it good. I would call it, like, slightly below average. But to be honest with you, I really think that where Up is the most underrated movie ever, I think Cars 2 is the most overhated movie ever. By which I mean, it's one of those things where, like, I've seen a lot of Pixar ranking videos for a reason that I will reveal soon enough. And every time Cars 2, they don't even talk about it, it just gets placed at the bottom by default. As in, like, it's Cars 2, what do you expect me to say? It goes to the bottom. Moving on now. It's like, like, you can at least qualify why you think it's bad, because, to be crystal clear, there are absolutely reasons, like, there are heavy criticisms to be made against that movie, specifically in regards to how the end goes about, like, how the climax, or how the conflict gets resolved is nonsense, but just, it's not a great movie by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it gets a lot of unnecessary hate just by nature of it being like, oh look, Cars 2, ha 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 ha, funny. It isn't, don't, like, kind of bandwagon hate kind of thing without actually thinking about it, so it's kind of annoying to see. Anyway, so we made it through 12 movies of the current 24 that are available in Pixar's catalog, so that's pretty good. I'd say that's a pretty good track record for this video. So in next episode, we'll go over the remaining 12, and I'll give my thoughts on the back half of Pixar's catalog, and we'll see what happens there. Anyway, let's give you the results. No unlock? Alright, that's fine. I'll probably unlock something when I replay the Star Cup, so we'll see if I unlock something for the next episode. But that'll be for now. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for next time. We'll catch you all tomorrow for some more Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Goodbye!